Welcome to another Sunday WOAY ABC4 Community Forum, where we talk to community leaders and local success stories to discuss important information that affects all of us here in Southern West Virginia. I'm your host, Brandy Lawrence, and today we are joined by another distinguished guest. Caitlin Pauley, who is the Program Director for Necco Foster Care, joins us this morning. Thank you so much for joining us on the forum today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course, definitely. So, foster care is super important, everywhere, but, what are foster care parents so needed here, for now?
Well, as you know, we have approximately 7,000 kids in West Virginia in the foster care system. So to have foster parents who are willing, who are able to take these youth into their home, who can give them, the love, affection, stability, education, and then, of course, community resources. So that doesn't always mean community resources as in transportation. That means like availability to sports. Some of our kids have never gotten the opportunity to play sports. Some boys have the interest in Boy Scouts. They've never gotten a chance to do that. So just community resources within our own community that's able to give these kids some structure, some routines, to give them, natural supports in their community. We need foster parents who are able to do that. Another need that we need significantly are foster parents who are able to work with teens. Right now we have quite a bit of teens that we have to turn away because we don't have foster parents willing to take an older age. We do need foster parents for younger ages, but our biggest need right now are foster parents for teenagers and sibling groups. So what we try to tell people who are interested in fostering about our teens is you can make the biggest impact on our teenagers. Teens in foster care have likely been here for quite a while in the foster care system. They've been bounced around, they've had disruptive placement due to just various reasons, and they're just looking for somebody to give them a family, give them some opportunities that all of the teenagers that you think of would want to have. That's going to be prom. Maybe, some of our kids are interested in fishing and hunting. They want to have their first job. But then it goes bigger than that they don't know how to do laundry. They don't know how to cook. They don't know how to potentially apply for government services if they need it. They don't even know how to fill out a job application form. And so that is pretty significant considering that they are teenagers and they're getting ready to be young adults who need to support themselves. So if we can have foster parents who are willing to take these teenagers to show them how to manage adulthood, how to take care of themselves, that's the biggest impact that we can have on our community right now, because that's going to give them the ability to be able to support themselves, to get an education. And that doesn't always mean a 4-year college degree. That can be, a trade or something of that nature that they're interested in. But without foster parents willing to take them into their home, to teach them these things, it's not going to be possible. So if they would be able to consider that, that's going to, like I said, impact our community to lower crime rates, to lower poverty levels, to get these young adults into the work field to be able to support themselves, to be able to help other youth in their community, because typically they do. They want to give back once they've grown up a little bit. But that also gives them a sense of hope that, look what I've made it through, and then that is something that they will always think back on as they go throughout their lives, is I made it through that and I can make it through anything. And that's just, to us, is incredibly rewarding. Because a lot of times if they are teens in foster care, they've lost their family completely. So they don't have cousins, they don't have aunts, they don't have uncles, they have no family. So once they do get into adulthood, they don't have anybody to come home to for the holidays. They don't have anybody to celebrate their life accomplishments with. They don't have, the support if they go and grow their family. Or if they just need help changing a tire, or just different things that you would as a teenager call your parents for. They don't have that. So we try to drive home that you can take younger kids, of course, and we need them to, but younger kids aren't always going to remember their stay in foster care, and they likely aren't going to remember that family individually because their impact that they've made, which is huge, they're just too young to remember. So if you think of a teenager and you teaching them all of these things and then they don't have a family to go home to, you will be their family. So you will make a lasting impression on their lives throughout their adulthood that we really, really, really need foster parents to consider, that you don't always have to adopt. You don't have to foster to adopt. You can just foster to, rehabilitate, give parents time to rehabilitate, and then support the reunification process. But for the teenagers, just give them somewhere to call home throughout their lives.
Definitely. And for anybody watching out there, for our viewing audience, if they're interested in becoming a foster parent, what are the qualifications that they would need to meet?
Foster parents need to be at least 21. We would have some background checks that they would need to pass. You need to be able to financially support a child, and then you do need to work, or at least one parent in the home. If it's a two-parent home, needs to work, and then at least one person needs a driving license. So there are some other questions that we can go through if they would be interested, and if they would have any questions, of course, that would give us the opportunity to make sure that they are completely qualified, and that all of their needs as far as being a foster home are going to be able to meet the needs of the kids.
Wonderful. And you said that there's a certification process, to become a foster parent. What does that look like, and what does that kind of entail?
We have it's about a 12-week process, and that includes from the time that you start until you are open. Sometimes it takes longer. It just kind of depends on how fast our foster parents are with getting us paperwork back, their availability for when we need to come to their home. We do come throughout the home 3 times in the training process. That's just to make sure that if there is anything in the home that needs repaired, if there's any safety concerns, and that doesn't mean safety that would put a child in danger, but if it's like a railing on some stairs or something that needs repaired, we'll keep an eye on that. That also gives them the opportunity in their own home to ask questions, because they will be in a training with other parents, so it's just more personal. That gets us the opportunity to talk to parents, to build the relationship and the trust with their agency, so that they know that they will depend on us throughout their fostering journey. So it will be about 12 weeks. Can take longer, but we really try for it to not. We do have our classes once a week in our office. We're located in Brookshire Lane in Beckley. So once a week of the evening, or on Saturdays, depending on what classes we have going at the time. We have trainings that will teach you how to handle trauma. It will teach you how to handle a child in crisis. Then we also have first aid and CPR in our house that we will be able to certify foster parents in. That includes infants as well. So all of their training that they need, we take care of within our office, and they won't have to outsource to anywhere.
Oh, that's wonderful. And also the services, is that part of the services in the training class, or are there anything like additional that the agency offers?
We have services once you do take a foster child. We have services that also start before you take a foster child. So like I had mentioned, foster parents will come into they will come into the foster parents' home at least 3 times throughout that training process. That way they can keep an eye on the foster home, make sure that if there were repairs that they needed, they get those in a timely manner. If they need help with maybe resources on if it's something that's not really heard of that they need to fix. Some parents have like a 2-story home. They don't know where to purchase the fire escape ladders, so we help with that. We'll point you in the right direction, as well as the services to train you up in trauma. So you can identify what is a trauma-related behavior that a child might have, as well as how to navigate through some of those trauma reminders that they have in your home. And that's really important for our foster parents to understand what these kids have potentially went through, what they have seen, and to be patient and understanding with them. So as they go through the process of their training, they'll understand the services that we offer once they do take their foster kids. So once they do, we're in the home within 24 hours. We have case managers who will handle those kids in the home. They handle the foster parents. They handle the resources that we need throughout our community. They are in the school. They are in the court system. They are in what we call MDTs, where that happens before the parents' court hearings. They are completely involved in anything that the foster parents need. We will take kids to doctor's appointments if we need to with their work schedules. We, help the foster kids maintain a healthy relationship with their biological parents. And if it's appropriate or, safe, of course, we invite those biological parents to be involved in as much as what they can with the foster kids. So that could be sports games, regular phone calls, and of course their visits. So the services, once they do take their kids, we have therapy within our office. So our therapist can come to their home. They can go to the school. If they have siblings, they can do sibling therapy. At times we have the biological parents come to therapy, of course if it's appropriate and safe. That way they can get some family therapy together. We have the case managers who come at least once a week or bi-weekly, depending on the child's needs. And then we have the case managers, like I said, who they participate in the court process so that the foster parents will always know where they're at with the reunification process. So they're never left hanging wondering how much longer those kids are going to be in their home. They know everything that we know. And just, of course, sometimes foster parents aren't always, they don't always have kids of their own. So when they take in sibling groups, it's kind of overwhelming. Kids in general can be overwhelming. So we come in, and if they need groceries to get them through, the first day or 48 hours, we're there and we're going to buy you some groceries. Going to make sure that, we get the kids' favorite snacks, that everybody has breakfast and dinner. If they need help, purchasing the child, like right now with the formula shortage. Mm-hmm. Some of our infants, they can't find formula. We'll buy that. We'll have it shipped to your home. It's just different things that a lot of times are unique to that foster family or the child's needs that we will go above and beyond to make sure that they are supported, that they're heard, that the needs are met, and it's not always paper book of what those services look like. But like I said, they do have the case manager who comes in their home. They'll have therapy. They will have our case manager who comes and attends IEP meetings if they need it at the school. If there's behaviors at the school that we need to try to figure out, we're going to the school, we're having meetings, we're sitting down with everybody that's significantly important in this child's life to make sure that they are successful in this foster home.
That's wonderful, and it seems like a holistic approach where you're, taking care of everything. So that's wonderful, setting them up for success.
Yeah.
So. Oh, and for anybody out there that's interested in being a foster parent, can you, plug them your information?
So our phone number is 304-250-1200. And then also, if you're interested, anyone can send an inquiry on necco.org, Necco. And if you fill out an inquiry, we get that within 24 hours. We'll have you on the phone asking some of these screening questions, which is if you have a driver's license, are you able to financially support a child? There's a few other questions, but that's just an idea of the initial questions we have. If we don't have any further questions and you don't have any further questions, we're going to immediately put you into a class because we need you, and so we're not going to waste time. We're going to get you in there and we're going to get you trained.
Definitely. All right, and that is the first half of our community forum. We will be right back with Caitlin Pauley talking more about Necco and foster care in West Virginia. And welcome back to Sunday Community Forum. I'm here with Caitlin Pauley, who is the Program Director of Necco Foster Care. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And we are talking, of course, and we're talking, more about foster care and why it is so necessary here in, West Virginia. And before we went to break, we were talking about the type of children that do need to be fostered. We talked about teenagers, and you also mentioned sibling group fosters. Yeah. So why is, that so important?
We need foster parents who are able to take sibling groups to consider that While some of the siblings in the sibling group might not be what they consider their preference, which we can also talk about too, is the preference capabilities that foster parents have. And there might be mixed genders, which is a female or a male sibling group or both within this sibling group. We need foster parents to consider that these kids have already lost everything. They've lost, of course, the home that they've been used to, the friends that they had at school, the teachers who they feel kept them safe a lot of times while they were in school. They lost the people who served them lunch every day and maybe gave them extra portions because they know that they needed it. They've lost their pets. They've lost their neighbors who might have been a little bit of a safe haven for them. But they've also lost their parents, who a lot of times siblings and kids in general have a hard time understanding why they are in foster care. So to have these sibling groups, essentially all they have left are each other. A lot of times our siblings have taken care of one another. They've shared their food, they've shared their personal belongings, they've looked after each other in a lot of ways. So if we don't have foster parents who are able to take siblings, we have an unfortunate situation that there again, we're having to separate them. And that is one of the most heartbreaking things to watch, is to have siblings have to tell each other goodbye. They're clinging to each other, they're crying, they don't understand, and we don't always have the words to comfort them after they've already had such a huge, unimaginable loss as it is. And if that doesn't, make your stomach turn a little bit to think that these kids are anywhere from, of course, newborns to teenagers. A lot of times, the teenagers have been the ones who take care of their younger siblings. Elementary school age kids still take care of their siblings. They lose their sense of identity a lot of times as well. And so that is just, it's absolutely awful to witness. It's hard to help them feel comfort in their foster homes at times, even though, like I said, just a bit ago, that we do what we can to make our kids feel comfortable in the foster home. But if we don't have foster parents who are willing or who are able to take sibling groups, then the trauma just intensifies to be separated from the last thing that they've known that made them feel safe. And so we really need foster parents to consider bunk beds, to consider foster parents can have children up until the age of 2 in their bedroom with them in a crib. So we have to, again, go with the safe sleep regulations, but as long as they're in a crib, so you can have, up until age 2, a baby in your room with you, but then you can also have whatever beds will fit in any bedroom that you have. We will work with that.
Definitely wonderful. And, as we see, in the news and things, sometimes there are people that are against, LGBTQ individuals adopting or fostering children, and certain identities that people have that there are people that do not agree with that. Are there any restrictions as to who can be a foster parent, and is that still open to everyone? Or?
We have no restrictions. As long as you are able to pass the background requirements and the financial part of things, our biggest need is parents who are open-minded. We do significantly need foster parents who are part of the LGBTQ community. We have a lot of kids who feel comfortable with a same-sex male couple or a same-sex female couple. They do not have to be married. They do not have to have a 2-parent household, and that's not just the LGBTQ community. That's foster parents in general. You do not have to be married. You can be a single parent, or you can have a significant other living with you and not be married. But as I said, a lot of kids have a sense of safety that they feel being with a same-sex couple. This also gives that community the opportunity to expand their family, which is super exciting for us as well to get to see, because we do have the ability to adopt through our foster care agency. So there are a lot of same-sex couples who want to foster to adopt. And they do. Sometimes it takes a few kids to come into their home to finally have one that they're able to adopt. But once they are able to, we celebrate along with them, because it's huge for us to be able to see that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And it's also great, you don't have any restrictions, because we were actually doing a story the other day about how there's a big population of trans youth here in West Virginia. So you're also kind of, connecting them with people that can help them navigate the community and the world as it is today as an LGBTQ, member.
Yeah.
So that'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
And what kind of impact, as overall, even beyond LGBTQ, what type of impact do these foster parents have, on the children that they take in?
Of course, like I said, they have the impact to get them into their communities, to get the natural supports, whether that is through sports, through scouts. That also gives them the opportunity. Foster parents are allowed to travel with our kids. We do have to have a notice that they are traveling, and we do have to get permission. But we have foster kids who are going to Disney World, who are seeing the beach for the first time. Just a lot of really unique and cool situations that kids are so excited to go and get the opportunity to do that. So the impact goes much further than what they're doing in the home. So like I said, with the teenagers, teaching them how to cook for themselves, how to do their laundry, how to change a tire, how to mow the grass. It goes much further than that. Just being able to give them, the freedom to find their individuality is something that we praise, we celebrate. We will be right there, for the birthday parties. We're there for the graduations. We're there for the prom. I mean, anything that you can think of, we're there to help them find, who they want to be. So if you need help, going shopping for the prom dress, just let us know and we'll take them. Most of us would be thrilled to get to do that. But the impact is pretty significant, because it's also the smaller things that we don't typically think of. We have kids who've never had McDonald's. So something just as simple as going through a drive-through because we've had a busy day, they've never had that opportunity. So if you think about the impact, like I said, and it just goes further than what in our day-to-day lives we think are a big deal. To have a bedroom of their own, or to be able to feel safe while they're taking a shower. It's pretty significant, the small things that end up being the big things to these kids. And you might be making an impact and you never know it, because they're grateful, but they've also not had the capabilities to verbalize their appreciation. And they get there once they feel comfortable, once they get to know, their environment and get to know us better and get familiar with our faces always being around, and that the foster parents are there to support, to praise them, to explore their individuality. They come around, and there are a lot of foster parents who didn't realize the impact they would make, that when we do have conversations, they're in tears, because it's so big to them that the little things is what was the big deal to the kids.
Yeah, and you give them a sense of community, and they've actually been doing studies on what makes people happy, and it's really building relationships with other people. So this is probably really huge for them.
It is, yeah.
And you also mentioned some of these new foster parents. Some of them are not always parents themselves. Some of them are just wanting to help out and foster a child. So for people that are unfamiliar with that, and maybe have a child that has dealt with some trauma and things, and they don't really know what to do, is there any way that they can get some help if there's something going on there?
Yeah, absolutely. As I had mentioned, we do have a therapy capability through our agency. So our therapist is able to come to the home to give therapy sessions with the foster parents, with the kids. Our case managers do supportive counseling, so that's an extra support for the foster parents through or in between their therapy sessions. So if their therapy sessions are once a week, we're also doing supportive counseling while we're doing our home visits with these kids. And we're going to say, hey, I know that you learned this technique in therapy, so how's it going? And can you show it to me so that we know that they understand how to use that technique, but that also gives us the opportunity to kind of gauge where they're at with their success with therapy, so that we can collaborate with our therapist to say, you know, while we were in the home, we noticed this, or they're really achieving, you know, the success with this technique, and I think we need to keep that. And it gives a therapist an idea too, that while they're out of the home, they're able to see how well the kids are doing. But then again, you know, there are trauma reminders that our kids have. And at times, it's not anything that we would have thought would be a trauma reminder, but it does happen. And if you do find that you have a child who has a trauma reminder and they are, you know, becoming, you know, potentially physically aggressive, if they are, you know, trying to internalize and process whatever they are being reminded of, that can escalate. So we do have a 24-hour hotline through Necco that if you call that gives us a pager to where we are immediately at your home. We're able to call you, you know, as soon as we get the page to see what the situation is. And then, of course, we're able to get out there to your home immediately. We're able to work with you. We're able to work with the kids. All of our case managers, as well as our licensing team, and our licensing team is who certifies our foster parents. We're all trained together. So there's not going to be any case manager who's not versed well on how to handle a behavior, how to handle a trauma reminder, how to support our foster parents. So they're all ready and capable, and we're there. We're a team. They're going to be calling me and saying, hey, this is what I've got going on. If I need to come out there, I'm there. We're going to work with the foster parents. We're going to work with this child. We're going to get them some stability, and we're going to get them, you know, to be healthier and to be safe.
Oh, wonderful. And just one more time for the people out there, can you plug your number and a website that they can go to get more information?
Our phone number is 304-250-1200, and our website is necco, necco.org.
Right. Well, anybody out there interested in being a foster parent, please get in touch with them. You know, it's a really strong need here. And thank you again for, you know, joining us and talking about this, you know, very important topic, you know, anytime. So thank you all for, you know, tuning in to Sunday WOAY Community Forum. Be sure to come back next week. And until then, you guys have an amazing day.